Next one, number 5.
5. Be thankful.
Practicing gratitude is the simplest way to be happy. But we are surrounded by a whiny, grumbling, pessimistic culture. Separate yourself from that dead-end pit and dare to be different. Paul tells us to give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So first of all, it's God's will for us, but it's as easy as this. Spend time every day intentionally looking for things in your life to be thankful for. Because no matter how hard your life is or what hard thing you're going through, you are richly blessed. We all are. So spend time searching out those things and thanking God for them. And God will reward you by filling you up with joy, and He will speak to you.
So one of the most powerful ways to be filled with freedom and victory of Jesus Christ and to get closer to God is to practice thankfulness, to have an attitude of gratitude. You've all heard that. So have you ever known somebody who complains all the time? I'm sure you do, because so many people complain all the time and they don't seem very happy. Do they? They seem miserable, because they really are miserable. And so you probably really don't even like spending time with them. Probably when you see this person coming, you groan inside, right? Because they're just not very fun to be around, people who complain all the time. And probably if you end up having to spend time with them, they kind of bring you down too. They're just a bummer to hang around people like that. And hopefully you're not the constant complainer. I'm sure nobody watching this is like that. But even if you are a constant complainer, you can change that about yourself by learning how to practice gratitude, practice thankfulness. Now, our culture today, it trains us to be pessimistic and to be complainers and grumblers and to assume the bad about every situation. We are surrounded, constantly bombarded by this pessimistic, negative thought patterns from our social media and our news. It's just our culture. And it is so easy to kind of go with the flow and to kind of get caught up in that negative thinking along with everybody else. And now you may be surprised to hear this, but many decades ago, I used to be one of those constant complainers. Can you believe that? And I was miserable, but God changed me, because about almost 30 years ago now, when God was healing me from depression and He was teaching me how to practice gratitude, He completely changed me. He healed me and changed the way that I think, so that now I am a very optimistic, happy person. And I love it now that people who know me now can hardly believe that I ever used to be one of those constant complainer kind of people, because I'm so happy and optimistic today. And that is a testament to the miraculous healing power of God, that He has changed me so much. And that is because God offers us so much of a better way than this negative thinking of the rest of the world. And so practicing thankfulness and doing that, learning how to train your brain to look for the good and be grateful and be thankful intentionally. It retrains the way that you think. It retrains your brain for optimism, so that you learn how to always search for the good, no matter what is happening. Because no matter what's happening, there's always some way to find the good in it, no matter what it is. And when you intentionally focus on good that way, you will be happier. You will be freer, healthier, more filled with joy and freedom and victory through Jesus. And it will also help you find healing, spiritual healing from any woundedness that you might have. And it helps you get closer to God. So I want to tell you about how I first started practicing gratitude. So this was over 20 years ago, when God was healing me from depression. And so one of the things that He instructed me to do was to start every prayer time every day, my prayer time every day, start off by searching for things to thank God for every single thing that I could think of to be thankful for. And so during that time, I was going through a really hard time. And so my life might have looked very terrible for anybody on the outside looking in, because it was during the time I was being healed from depression. I had been addicted to prescription medications. And so I was weaning myself off of those. And when I started doing that, I got really, really physically sick. And so I was almost homebound for like 3 months. It was during the winter. I had just started my business. I was working at home. I had moved to a new place. I didn't have any friends, didn't have any family where I was. And so it was a very, very lonely, I was isolated. So it was a very lonely time in this new place with no family or any friends. And I just started my business, so I didn't have any money. And it was a really, really cold winter. And so I couldn't even heat my house. And I was subsisting on ramen noodles. Have any of you had times like that in your life? So yes, it could have been an extremely miserable time in my life. And yet it was one of the happiest times in my life because God was teaching me how to practice gratitude. And I never ran out of things to be thankful for, no matter what. I mean, I had just survived a suicide attempt several years before. And I was thanking God that I was still alive. I was thanking God for this new business that was slowly beginning to get customers, my website business that I still run today, 30 years later. I thanked God for the sunrises that were so beautiful in my new home. And I thanked him for steaming hot showers because that winter it was the only time I was ever warm. I thanked him for my humble little bitty 1940s house that I had just bought. And I thanked him for my grumpy little Siamese cat who kept me company while I was alone and sick. And I even thanked God for the ramen noodles. There was nothing too small or insignificant to thank God for. And the more that I looked for things to be thankful for, the more things I found. I never ran out. Often my entire prayer time would just consist of continuing to thank God and getting happier and happier. And I would usually end up smiling and laughing and even dancing for joy and praising God. It was just wonderful. And so practicing gratitude completely transformed my entire way of thinking. It transformed my emotions from defeat and sorrow to happiness and peace. And it healed my soul. And it can heal your soul too. And it will also draw you closer to God. And so now at this point, I don't have to intentionally try to be optimistic or happy or look for the good. At this point, it's just my habit. I just automatically do it. And you can get that way too. And once you get to this place, it will create a space for you, this gratefulness, this thankfulness that allows you to hear from God. And another thing I like to talk about is how blessed we are here, because every single one of us, everybody watching this video, you are incredibly, incredibly blessed, because that's another lie that our culture tells us, that everything's terrible, that things they've never been this bad before ever. That is simply not true. That is such a lie. Don't believe it when you hear things like that on the news or on social media, because it's just not true. I mean, every single person watching this, okay, obviously you're able to get internet somehow or cell phone connection. You got a cell phone, you got a computer. I bet you're not homeless. I bet you've got electricity. I bet you've got running water. I bet you got flushing toilets. I bet you have a refrigerator that keeps your food cold. I bet you're not going hungry, right? Just those things right there mean that you are living a higher, better quality of life than most humans have lived through the history of humankind. And even all the political stuff, I know people are afraid of what's going on right now. There's been way, 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 way worse many, many, many times in history. Through the Dark Ages, all of the World War I, World War II, there have been many, many times in the past that were so much worse than the things that are happening today. So we are blessed, and we have so, so much to be thankful for.